What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, invading California for Namm 2020, and we are here with Exmortus. Thank you for being here.
Dude. Hi, thank you, man. Thanks for hanging out.
It's so awesome to have you here. You released back in October the Legions of the Undead EP.
Yeah.
Could this maybe serve as like a good preview or a good taste of maybe what the next Exmortus full-length album is going to sound like?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that because, we did our prosthetic cycle, the 3-album thing, which was like a more fantasy kind of imagery and, lyric content. So this next wave of music might be just a little different, not too different. I don't want to be too risky. And so something like that might be the new sound, maybe the new direction, and it's not too different, I don't think. And I think it's kind of smooth because we always kind of sung about the same kind of shit here and there. So yeah, it's kind of the new direction, kind of.
Awesome. Was it like a preconceived idea that you eventually wanted to take this direction, or did it kind of just happen that way?
Actually, yeah, kind of. Me and Mario, the former drummer, my cousin, he and I were talking about doing some of these kinds of ideas prior to the signing with Prosthetic, but I guess we just never finished writing them out, and ended up doing the whole, the steel cycle, the slave to the sword thing, and so yeah, this was actually old conceptions that we've had beforehand, and finally we're, putting them in motion. So yeah.
Interesting. You mentioned you sing about fantasies and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So could the idea of what you sing about maybe determine the outcome of the music itself?
Somewhat. I like to. I want to make sure the lyrics match the sound that's coming out as much as possible to kind of just really emphasize the mood, the expression, the atmosphere. So I think it does affect it in the long run, because it wouldn't feel right if I'm singing about something and then it doesn't match the chord progression. It sounds too happy or too not dark enough, or maybe it doesn't demand the darkness, So yeah, it depends. Yeah.
Do you kind of look for inspiration when it comes to writing music, or does inspiration sometimes come out of nowhere?
I would say both, because I don't like to sit around and wait for it, because it may never happen. It may never come. I think you just got to be kind of active to look for inspiration, I think. And what I do is simply just watch a lot of movies, read a lot of books, and play a lot of video games to get some, get a lot of input, coming in, so I could just start, mixing all the ideas together and see what comes out. But yeah.
You a Zelda fan?
I like Zelda. I never owned an N64, so I never really played Ocarina of Time.
You uncultured player.
I know, because I had a PlayStation.
All right, so Castlevania Symphony of the Night?
Yes, of course, and good. Tomb Raider and fucking Resident Evil. Yeah, those are my jams that I had at the time.
Symphony of the Night, I think, is the hardest game I've ever beaten.
Yes, it's pretty much like the precursor to all the Dark Souls games and shit. That started it all.
Best soundtrack to any video
fuck
game
yeah.
ever.
Awesome soundtrack, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally heavy metal, and that's interesting you bring that up, because that's kind of what I want to go for the next album, something like that, because it's kind of like gothic.
Yeah.
It is gothic feeling, and something like that.
Yeah. I forgot what section it is, but if you replay that game and go to the top of the tower, that
right.
Da-na-na-na.
Fucking sick shredding too.
I just butchered that, but
no, that's all right.
But, one thing I wanted to ask you is, as somebody who's seen you live numerous times, seen you on the Children of Bodom tour, seen you on the Havoc tours, just seeing you recently with Death Angel, I've always thought it's so different seeing you live with the crowd interaction and just all the sonic energy. For you, is there maybe a similar energy that you channel into your live presence as you do when you're songwriting, or is it a completely separate art altogether?
It's an interesting question, because it is different, I think. I try to feel it out, because I want to write for the the live setting, of course, so I want to make sure there's enough active moments for the crowd to be a part of the music, chanting parts, I guess the breakdowns, right? So I try to feel them out, see if it fits, see if it's appropriate or too forced. I don't want to force too much of the ideas and it just comes out like whatever. So yeah, I think it's kind of it's a hard balance to match. It's weird at times, but yeah.
Here comes the most difficult question of the interview. How do you know when a song is done?
Ooh, you never do.
You get that every time.
You never do, because it sucks. It's like the curse of the artist, I guess. You like what you're doing, and then you're like, no, I could make it better, and I need to fix this up, I need to touch this up, and you paint and everything. So I understand this, but it's it depends on our deadline. I'll be like, okay, this is good enough, but I guess it's never complete. Never.
Yeah. I imagine you sometimes go back and be like, I should have done that. Or,
And we have a chance to do that live. Like live solos are usually very different because I'll be like, I should have done that, and I'll just change it up because in the end, I think people like appreciate like a little twist in the live versions because you're gonna listen to the record at home or whatever in your car, and you're gonna hear that forever. But the live is where it counts, I think, and it should have a little nuances that you wouldn't hear otherwise. So I like going for that improvising feel in the live setting.
So you led me into my next question. With your soloing, like, do you know like a theory and stuff like that? Like, okay, I have to work off of this scale and this key, or do you rather improvise in the songwriting?
Well, I mean, I guess I already know the riff and I know the key I should be in. I could go off key sometimes. I guess it's all right. But yeah, I will have an idea where to go, and I have like other chops I've like rehearsed to kind of like go for it if I really need to. And but sometimes I'll be daring and be like, hey, what if this sounds good? And I'll just kind of go for it. So usually it comes out good, sometimes not. But it happens,
Don't know unless you try.
Exactly. Yeah.
And finally, let's just do the good old gear rundown. What's in the Exmortus arsenal?
All of our gear. Oh well, yeah. Let's see. I use Marshall JCM 2000, the same head I've used for like, forever, and I don't know. I think I will always use that. We'll see. I mean, no endorsements for that because it's untouchable. But yeah, JCM 2000. Chase uses the PV 6505 head, and Cody uses the Fender Bassman. Sounds amazing actually for bass, considering because I'm an Ampeg kind of guy when it comes to bass, but his Fender Bassman sounds phenomenal too. Our guitars. So you have V's. Got to have a fucking sharp V look.
Well, I've noticed a lot of people use the V because it's actually easier if you're singing and playing.
It feels good. Yeah, for some reason I've always felt right with it, at least for Exmortus. I guess the way it rests, like with my stance, it's like just perfect to like stand like that and have the microphone right there. So yeah, I could see that, and a lot of people might feel the same way, So yeah.
Awesome. So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Yeah. Is there just anything else with Exmortus you would like to promote that you're allowed to say, of course?
I can't say too much right now, but we got a lot of plans for this year. So just stay tuned and watch out for what's coming up in 2020. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
Everybody, Exmortus, Legions of the Undead EP. Pick that up if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York, Namm 2020. We'll see you next time.